So we are officially beginning our March meeting of the Human Relations Commission. So I want to welcome everybody. It's nice to have you here.
1 second, Emily.
Okie dokie. I'll wait till you give me the green light.
All right, you are on.
There we go. Okay, there we go. All righty. So thank you so much. Welcome everybody to the March meeting of the Human Relations Commission. Good morning, Ellie, and everyone who is here. Nice to see you all again. We may have more people joining us, and that will be just fine. Hopefully you had a chance to view our agenda for today. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with approving our meeting minutes from January. So if you want to, that was sent in the email, I believe yesterday morning. So if you have a moment to review those, and if you're ready, I will take a motion or to approve them. Or
I'll move to approve.
Justin?
I'll second.
Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, so our minutes were approved, and we'll move right now into our reports, starting with Matt Snow, the City of BG Housing Specialist. I know he's got some really cool things to report to us.
All right, thank you. Just had a couple of tenants reach out and ask what their rights were regarding emotional support animals. And they were given information and literature on that. That's most of our calls are just people finding out what their rights are regarding stuff. So they were able to be assisted, and everything went good with that. We did just have a press release saying we were accepting applications for the housing programs. We do have a current waiting list for all the programs, but most applicants that are applying now should be able to be assisted after September 1st. And then next month is Fair Housing Month, and we'll be doing an ad campaign. You'll probably see ads in the Sentinel, the BG News, and the BG Independent for that. That's all I have to report.
Cool. I have a question. How many applicants do you typically get in a year, and maybe that changes over time? Can you speak a little bit to that for the housing support?
It kind of comes in waves, and usually if the waiting list gets a little low, we'll put a press release out, or encourage people that have went through the program in the past to let others that need assistance and know about the program. But I would say average is at least 20 a year. I think we might be closer to like 30 this year for all the different programs.
Sure. Well, that's good. So it is, I mean, it's very necessary and a successful program. So.
Oh yeah, because I mean, a lot of people their roof might be on its last leg and they have no other resources to have that replaced, and definitely is necessary for sure.
Yeah. Any other questions for Matt from anybody? All right, so we'll move on. Thank you, Matt. And welcome to Ellie and Anthony. Great to see you this week. So now we're going to move to our mayor's report with Mayor Mike Gosbacher.
Morning, everybody. I'm here way in the background in this big room. I really have no report, but even though it's been some time, I did just want to congratulate you all on the good work on the outcome on the Martin Luther King Day event. Very unusual delivery this year because of circumstances, but I thought that the event really turned out great. Really appreciate all the good work that you did. I'm really happy that it was done. So thank you all for that. Also, we'll mention that I continue to effort to fill your ranks with appointments, and we'll continue to be open to any suggestions you might have as far as potential members. That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
All right, thank you, Mayor Gosbacher. I think that's one of the nice reminders for us too, because each one of us in our daily lives have networks of people that we interact with. And so just again, reminder that if you're out and about or interacting with people who are part of your social circle or your network of support, either through work or school, thinking about who might be a good person to fill the vacancies that currently exist on the HRC. So just I appreciate that reminder, Mike, or Mayor. All right. Alrighty, so thank you, Mayor Osbacher. And now we're going to move to our financial report and Joe Fawcett, our Assistant Municipal Administrator.
Good morning, everybody. I believe the budget was sent out to you previously. The original appropriations for 2021 was again $1,600, which is your typical. To date, you have spent $119.80 for the Martin Luther King Day celebration, bringing the amount available to you to $1,480.20.
Okay, thank you. Can you remind us what that was spent for? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Sure. The $109.80 was spent on the award for Anna Brown, and then $10 was spent for to have her name engraved on the plaque that goes into council chamber.
Okay.
The plaque for the larger award that is in council chamber.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. I wasn't. That's good to know. It was money well spent for sure.
Yep.
All right. Any questions for Joe before we move on? So now we're going to go into the chair's report, and actually, honestly, don't have one. Most everything that we want to talk about is in our agenda, so I will pass. Then that brings us to our NIAT BG report. I was sharing, we had a really lively discussion yesterday, just will mention, because I think, again, this is important information for all of us to know and share. A person joined our meeting and identified herself, and she also identified herself as a member of the UU Church, and a conversation that they were having at their church. Somebody identified Bowling Green as a sundown community for people of color. And she defined that for our group, but her reaction was she was shocked to learn it. She was also very hurt to know that that's the way Bowling Green is. According to the, and then why don't more people know that? That was essentially what her message was. And so we had a wonderful conversation with that, surrounding that topic. Anna Brown was there, Moja Bing was there, Carla, and the rest of us. And, sharing her concern is exactly what we want to have happen, but we need more people to become aware of that, more people to have that understanding that exists for people of color. And so we were very grateful for her willingness to bring that up, and again, had a really nice conversation about that. We lasted about 45 minutes. It was a major part of our meeting. So I just wanted to share that with you. I think that, and obviously it illustrates that this is one success. This person was shocked and now is aware, or has more awareness than she had prior to her conversation. But we need to keep having the conversations. We need to keep spreading that word. We need to keep doing, increasing the awareness to create that safe and inclusive BG that we all desire to have for everyone. Comments, thoughts, suggestions? All right. So now, Ellie, can you share with us our Facebook report?
Yeah, as always, just feel free to send me things that you'd like reposted. We haven't had a lot to post since the Martin Luther King event, so I'm open to anything.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for doing that too. So next, in our old business, I just thought we haven't had a chance to debrief our MLK celebration. I appreciated hearing the positive comments from the mayor, but I thought maybe it would be a good time for all of us to think about the process, what happened, how it came through, maybe what you've heard from other members of the community. Again, that was back in January, which does that seem like it was months and months and months ago in some ways. Of course, our keynote speaker was Jennifer McCary, and our award winner, very deserving, was Anna Brown. Anthony provided a beautiful solo. It was amazing. So what are your thoughts?
I thought it was just great. And then I just like to really say thank you to Ellie and then Anthony, for your presentation. I thought Ellie did just a great job. And of course, that Emily, just thank you so much for the committee to find the great way to do it. And I think the speaker was just great. I thought that the speech was just so inspiring, and I just thought that everything went so well. Just as good as or even better, than in person. Because a lot of people could come in too. So yeah, and thank you so much. That was just great.
Thank you, Akiko. I think I don't know if you're aware of this, but there were 67 people, and that was the official number in and out of the session that evening, which I think was a positive. I think it worked well with this, as Mike said, under the circumstances that we were experiencing. Thank you. Any other thoughts? All right.
I think it was the best it could be. I don't know what else we could have done given the circumstances. So well done.
Very good. Thank you. And Ellie was amazing. Ellie's, what is so exciting is that Ellie's our future, and isn't it exciting, to see the talent that she has and her passion, and it's pretty cool. So thank you to Ellie. Thank you to Anthony. If you had a chance to look in the chat, I noticed that Anthony's posted a link to I just pulled it up real quick. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but information about sundown towns. And do we want to have a conversation about this now? Well, I'm certainly open to doing that. Or so I'll leave it up to you. If you guys want to spend some time with this, it looks pretty cool. I know I would like to read it. And even if Anthony had some comments he wanted to share, that would be welcome, or anybody.
Well,
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think it's excuse me. I just think it's really important that everyone, especially on the Human Relations Commission, has an understanding of sundown towns, what they are, what they meant for Black people, what they meant for white people, and what they meant for even the other oppressed and the other oppressed communities. And so that's why I dropped the link in. I just want to encourage everyone to check it out. As you might not be familiar with sundown towns. A lot of the remnants from the sundown town, that Bowling Green was still exists today, and we still, as people of color, as Black people, as oppressed communities, we feel that, right? When walking in town at nighttime, with just how safe that we feel and how welcome that we feel. So even if that means taking more action steps, right, to bridge that gap of mental security of people of color and white people inside the community. I think that'd be really good for us to begin to hash out at some point.
Thank you, Anthony. Any other? Well, and so this is something definitely that we might want to hold off right now. We can talk about it in our new business because we've got some time to think about what our next projects are going to be. So why don't we just, it's a perfect segue into our new business. So our first piece of business, our order of business, is to elect a new chairperson. So I am going to open the floor to nominations for a chairperson. So we see all of our present members here. Steve is not here today. I believe that's everybody, right? I'm not missing anybody, am I?
No, Steve is the only absence, Emily.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we'll open the floor to nominations.
I nominate Emily, you.
Oh, thank you, Akiko. And I am happy to do it. I recognize that, 3 months ago, I declined. The position is, just 3 more months or so before we get a break. And then I think, do we re-elect a new one next time, I think, or something like that? Right, honestly, my situation is that I really don't think I can take on one more thing. I'm happy to do it to help and support. And I can remain as the secretary, but I'm really not able to take on this role right now. Thank you, though, for nominating me. I think part of it is recognizing that we all have our lives, right? So we all have jobs, we all have school, we all have a life beyond what we do every single day. And so I think we want to think about spreading the wealth just a little bit.
I would nominate Ellie. She's been on this committee for quite a long time, years. What do you think, Ellie?
Yeah, I'd be open to it.
Well, Ellie, you're graduating, correct?
Yeah.
So your term is up in May. So you'd have a chair for 2 months, but it's just a word of caution to the commission.
I agree with you. I think she would be fabulous in the role and absolutely
Ellie?
is capable. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ellie, if you don't mind me asking, what are your plans after you graduate?
To go to BGSU.
So to put you on the spot right now, there is a community member seat that is available on the HRC. So perhaps if you're interested in taking that position, Major White's motion would be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Okay, everybody heard that now.
I would like to comment. I think that Ellie would be an amazing candidate to be the chairman of a board like this. I think I will also say that Ellie being an amazing candidate to be a chairman is somewhat like symptomatic of like a bigger problem of like we need more members at the HRC. Not saying that I have more time, but that with a deeper involvement and a deeper willing to like take the charge on like with these things. And like, cause I just don't want to, Ellie's in high school, right? And it's kind of, telling if Ellie, the only high schooler we have on the HRC is being like the person that it's like, Ellie's great, but she's amazing, but she's the person that we're all kind of looking for leadership, and that at some point we have to like look in the mirror and really assess why that is about the HRC, and what things can we change to make sure that the high schoolers don't have to come in and then like start leading things, Ellie, you're amazing though, and I would like to nominate you.
All right. Are there any other nominations? All right. So hearing none, if Ellie, are you willing to accept the nomination?
Yes, thank you. And like Anthony said, I definitely want to move forward. I'm happy to take the position, but Tony and I were just talking about like bringing on more people of color and stuff like that. So I think that's something we need to look at as we move forward.
Yeah, I think collectively all of our hearts and heads are in that direction. How to make this commission the most effective. There's a lot of potential here for sure. And I know that was one of the charges that Mayor Gosbacher gave us, if you recall, way back in August when we all first started together, and that is to develop this commission. We even have a resolution from the city council. So we've got our marching orders for sure. So we can all work in that direction. So let's make this official. We'll all vote. All in favor of having Ellie Boyle be the chairperson for the HRC, say aye.
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 All opposed? Same sign. All right, Ellie. There you go, ma'am. And I will let you know. I mean, officially, I can hand you the gavel right now if you want to finish this meeting, or would you rather wait until and start the next meeting as the official chairperson? I'll let you decide.
I think maybe I'll start the next one.
All right. And quite honestly, the next part of the agenda, or it's just some thoughts that I have given, again, to considering how do we organize this commission so that it is the most effective and most efficient that it can be. And so also recognizing that we're here because we want to be, we all have that passion to make a difference as a member of the HRC. I just wanted to propose maybe possibly a schedule that we can look at over time. And we have some other considerations. As a commission, we know that we cannot meet as a group outside of our official meetings because of the sundown laws. We have to be cognizant of those. But the thought I was giving to this organizational process, or how we can organize as the HRC. I divided the year in quarters, and recognizing that all of us could efficiently and easily manage one project per quarter, knowing that we meet once a month, and then create committees for those projects. And the committees, because of our size, could have 2 people. I think that's still within the sundown laws. It is. We're not too many people meeting at the same time. And those people could do the real deep legwork of that project and then bring it back to our monthly meetings and report what they've been able to accomplish towards that project. And then we all contribute to what's happening with that project. And then but those 2 people on that committee are the ones that are mainly in charge of making that project go. And this way we spread out what we're going to be doing, and everybody has a part to contribute to a project that they feel passionate about, something that really resonates with you. The ones that I put on the agenda, if you've had a chance to look at, are just things that we've already accomplished this year. But again, knowing that we've got such an amazing potential, we really truly can get a lot done. I think if we're organized well, we can. So the first quarter, I just put in, we did the community reads with So You Want to Talk About Race. And that was I think, a successful event. We had 76 people participating in that novel, reading that book, in conversations. So, we don't necessarily have to do another novel or another book read, but I think they're an effective way to reach people. But they are a lot of work went on behind the scenes to make those things happen. So it's just something to think about. Then the middle agenda, the second quarter, definitely we want to dedicate time and energy to creating the MLK celebration. That's pretty much our keynote. Not keynote, but that's pretty much our, that's one we're known for sure. And we can make it as big and as elaborate as we want. But it's really an amazing event for sure. Does good things. Then I put in the third quarter, maybe our next project could be a lunch and learn. And maybe it is about sundown towns. I don't know, that's just a thought. And then the fourth quarter, I put in the community movie. These were 2 things that we had talked about way back in the fall, in late summer, early fall, about doing. We still can get them done. The community movie in the warmer months is cool. I know Amy did or at least had a lot of information about how to make that happen. We can do it outside, people in their cars, or whatever that is necessary. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there as a proposal and see what your thoughts were. That sounds like something we want to do.
I just wondered that, we used to have the breakfast, that the early breakfast, the event in February. I mean, I think in April, right? Like 6:30 or 7 o'clock. I remember we went and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
of course we cannot. Yeah, we cannot do those things in person. You know, but just like when I see the lunch and I learn, you know, breakfast or lunch or whatever it is, you know, you meant for the community, right? Not just for us, right? Okay, so I found out that, you know, because of the first year, I mean, last when we got into the lockdown, you know, of course I have to cancel the, you know, Hanami, cherry blossom festivals, you know, as you can see, you know, but then I have another, you know, big meeting for the businessman, you know, to I had to cancel it in fall. But then after that, I've never thought this coronavirus, this pandemic, you know, lasts such a long time. So I thought we can't do that 2 years and, you know, cancel, you know. So I decided to do the Zoom, you know. So I'm just, you know, right now is organizing the, you know, the businessman one, you know, in the Zoom too. Okay. And then also cherry blossom too, you know, it's not the same way, you know, but just at least, you know, I can, you know, introduce the Japanese culture, you know, to the community, you know, that was, you know, the main thing. So a lot of things, you know, I learned we can do it in the Zoom, and not really bad about it is because some people who cannot attend, you know, because of the time things or because of the far away, you know, that can, you know, attend. So I did, you know, a couple of the lectures too, you know, I mean, I invited the lecturer from California to do it, you know, and certainly it would have been cost a lot, you know, but just, you know, minimum, I could do it just only the honorarium, you know, things like that, you know. So I thought that maybe we can take that, you know, advantage of that, you know. And then when I looking back about the breakfast things, you know, a lot of people can speak, right? Only cannot do is eating together. You know, but I think by now is a lot of people are used to having a meeting with no, you know, dining, you know. So I know, and we had a, you know, nice speakers, you know, for the different religions, and then talk about it. I think that those speeches are so great, you know, because I learned a lot of, you know, different things, you know, normally I don't know about, you know. So something like that. And I thought when you see the lunch and learn, you know, and some speakers can come in and then, you know, give the lectures.
Yeah.
That's what I just kind of came out.
I just mentioned real quickly, not in our town decided not to do the breakfast this year because we felt like for the magnitude of that event, we didn't want to do it virtually. We love that people come together and
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So anyway, so that's the decision that we made. But and I think too, like for something we learned during the novel reading, depending on the time of the day, we offered early morning, thinking people will come together, and we had a little handful of people that eventually all went into different sessions, the middle session or the evening session. I don't know about something about the morning session. It wasn't as popular, but anyway. So, but I think your points are good. Virtual, we can do virtual, and in some ways, we have more options with virtual.
Yeah, like just like you said, you know, just the real meanings of the meeting, you know, people to get to know, and that part is, of course, you know, a little bit kind of a side, you know, but still, you know, if you use like your reading, you know, that time, you know, we could make the breakouts, and then I get to know the people, you know. I think by now is a lot of people now kind of learned how to be in the Zoom meetings. You know, in the very beginning, I had a really difficult, you know, but you know, after that, I just feel I got to know the students well, you know, and then in the meetings too, I feel like you know, the people are right there. So, so I think, you know, many of the people are kind of feeling like that too.
That may be our reality. Is Zoom meetings are the way to go for a while. What about the organization for HRC? Are there any comments about that organization? At least
I like the idea of dividing it up into events / committees. I mean, it just makes sense. So it's not quite so, you know, muddled, and and everybody trying to kind of do a little bit of everything. So,
Or
And to assign each quarter a certain responsibility. I think that's a great organizational tool.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah, so that everybody is involved in.
Yeah. Is it possible? I know when we're talking about like bringing in like more people of color, I'm just thinking like, is it possible to move the time back from our meeting time so that it's not 8 a.m. on Fridays? Just like this, if that may not be attractive to the type of support that from the people that we're going to be as a HRC. So is it possible to change the meeting time from 8 a.m. on Friday to any kind of more reasonable time in the week for people?
Well, but 8 o'clock is really nice before everybody started to get to work. If I get to take the middle of the day, it's very hard for me, because the students are, just, needed me and stuff. But then 8 o'clock is really good for me. It's because the students never want me, to be 8 o'clock unless I take the 8:30 class, so that's, for the meeting itself is for ourselves, right? I'm not saying that having a meeting for the community, the people to come in. Yes, certainly 8 o'clock is not good for having the people come in for the lecture and the things. But a committee meeting for this one is I prefer the 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, and Anthony, you raised that's the age-old question, right? When is the right time, the day and time to meet? And I'm certain in every organization they have this conversation, and you just end up knowing that it's not going to be right for everybody. And I don't know, maybe Joe has some comments about the history and why this day and time was selected. That might be helpful for us too, just to know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I can give you the best history. Kiko, I think, has been here the longest. I think her assessment is probably fairly accurate. That said, your meeting, your regular meeting date and time is up to the commission. So if you should wish to move that, you certainly can. We would simply issue a public meeting notice identifying that as your regular meeting date and time.
Mm-hmm.
But I would echo Kiko's assessment. I think that's probably the genesis of how you landed on the first Friday of every month at 8 a.m.
Yeah. Days of the week is I don't mind, but 8 o'clock is a really good before. If somebody has to work from 8 o'clock at the very beginning. So of course it's in the Zoom right now, but when we change into the in-person, to get to the meeting, you need 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So even if it starts at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, that means you have to be away from it. But at 8 o'clock is nothing is going on before, so you can spend the 15 minutes to get to the place. That is a really important part of it too. Okay, so I wouldn't have accepted. I think if the meeting, this one is in the middle of the day or so, because it's certainly I cannot take off 1.5 in the middle of the day, from the students or from other meetings and stuff like that. So 8 o'clock is, to me, is I'm not sure how your job situation is, but certainly nothing is before 8. So starting out with this, 8 o'clock is, to me, is personal things, of course, but that's why I think I could have continued this month.
Another factor to consider is deconflicting your meeting date and time with other board and commissions, both for staff availability, but space. So, as you proceed, if you're looking to make that change, I would highly recommend that, maybe we have a conversation so I can look at the calendar and ensure that there is staff availability for you and that the typical meeting location is not already reserved for another board or commission.
No, 100%. And just to clarify, Kiko, I only meant that as just once we're inviting more people on the HRC, it may help with attendance. like consistent attendance, and also participation, like willingness to participate, like willingness to participate inside of HRC, and of like effectiveness of like the committee. If because I mean waking up at like 8 a.m. This is my experience, just similar to you, Kiko. Waking up at 8 a.m. just like your mind isn't always there at sometimes we leave the meeting, we think of things we could have said inside of the meeting because it was 8 a.m. So it's like those type of like situations. I completely understand that sentiment of like if it's not 8 a.m. then when other time, like when is other time is going to be. I completely understand that. A resource that I think was useful with me in organizing commissions and meeting times was like Doodle. It's like an app where the organizer goes in, they cross off times that don't work, and Doodle organizes the meeting for you, and it shows you various amounts of like meeting times and things like that, and that was all. Yeah.
I like Doodle too, and I think maybe this would be like a good discussion to have if we're able to bring in more people. So like even if it works for us right now, I think we need to reassess this when we hopefully get a few more members.
Yeah, I think it's certainly something that we can look at and brought to our attention. I know, I think too, if you look around the screen or the room, so to speak, you look at, we do have, the majority of the people are, people with full-time jobs. And then also, so that idea that we can come to an early morning meeting and then also work that full day, I know appealing to many people. I know that we have some people amongst us that are retired and they have a little bit more flexibility with their time. And then students, their schedules are all over the place with classes and work. And but I also will point out that the students on our commission are the smallest group. So while we want to be accommodating to as many people and as accommodating as possible, I think those are all things to take into consideration. So, but I agree. Is everybody okay if we put this down as part of our, this could be a future discussion if we wanted to consider changing our day and time?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So now back to the organization. And I was hoping if you guys were comfortable with this and you like the way this is planned, that we could look and really just identify the next 2 projects we want to do for the remainder of this year and get going on them, so that we can get the legwork done and we can create a really quality event. So the one, again, as I said, we were given our marching orders from the city council and from our mayor, and they encourage us to do the lunch and learn. So I personally think that should be our next targeted project, but I'm open to suggestions if anybody had something else they would prefer to work on.
I think it's going to be important to get like Sandy Rowland in like one of our meetings, only because like she wrote like the racial resolution, and like I've had brief communication with her, and I just would say that her like what she had in mind when she was writing the racial resolution and what we're doing with it may be 2 different things. And so I think it'll be cool to bring her in just to kind of make sure we're completely parallel with her intentions of the racial resolution. Because something that she said to me was that it was supposed to be majority like targeted to like the police force and the local government level authorities, was like the talks of race and equity, and it was supposed to be like a requirement to them and to make it like a yearly type of situation. And so I don't know if that was something that was communicated clearly to the HRC, right? And so I think it would be effective to bring her in and kind of clear up that.
Oh, absolutely. Would you like to take the lead on that, and you can invite her to attend?
I'll do it now.
No, you would not like to? Okay.
I would. I'll do it now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I might have misunderstood. Did you say yes?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, that would be great, because I certainly want us to be in line with what exactly the intention of the event was. And I might not know, certainly we can hear directly from Sandy. That would be fabulous. Here's the challenge though, is our next meeting isn't until, April, and then we're already a month beyond time. But maybe if we could put a little timeline on that, and you can send her an email and ask her to elaborate and then forward that email to all of us. Something like that. Does that sound like it works? So
Yeah,
we can.
I'm gonna do that now.
Oh, that'd be fabulous, Anthony. Thank you. Because like I said, I just feel like time has a way of marching on. And so, if we can get as much done through email rather than wait till our next meeting, I think that's a little bit more efficient way. And also recognizing that we can't meet as a group officially beyond our monthly meetings. So those are all things to take into consideration. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that.
No problem.
And then
So-
that will, I think, really helpful to hear from her. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So this kind of piggybacks on, I think, what Anthony, where he was going also, in kind of the role of HRC. And so I spent a little bit of time looking at a few other websites from different cities around the country and their HRCs. It seems like a number of places, they would have their own website separate from the whatever city they're in. And so is that something that we're interested in looking a little further into, that we become a little bit more of our own entity? And so I just noticed that on these, on some of these websites for just human relations commissions, it went into great detail about here's how you contact someone on the committee when you have issues that are dealing with race relations, within the city, or with housing issues. It had other areas that they could go to from there, and I know we have a City of BG webpage. I understand that, and we're on that. But it just kind of feels like, I don't know. It just seems like if we want HRC to be something, and a lot of people in the community to know about what we are here for, we need to put ourselves out there more. And so it just seems like, am I making sense? It just feels like we're just kind of a little blip on the city, on the city page. Do we want to try to do something where we're a little bit more of a focus and people recognize this commission as somewhere that you go to with a problem or with an issue, and that people then on the committee know where to send them or to help them through a process? I'm not sure if this is translating well with what I'm thinking, but does anybody else have thoughts on that? Or
I really like that idea. I think it'd be good for us to be more visible and not so like hidden on the website.
Yep. I second that as well. I think that'll be something that is better for us. I don't know if that's allowed or possible, but I think that'll be something that's good.
So,
To be the wet blanket, but your budget is $1,600 a year, and to host an independent website and to pay for the URL, that may chew up a large part of your budget. If it's functionality for your particular page, I've always said, send me what you want to be on, what you want on that page, and I will work hard to make that happen. If it's how the URL comes across for HRC's page, we can address that too.
Yeah.
So while I'm not trying to say that Amy's idea is a bad one, I'm simply saying that hosting your independent website with its own URL could get pretty costly for you.
mm-hmm. And I think if we want to increase our visibility, it's in the doing. I think a website is a good thing, but it's kind of the cosmetic part of the doing. so we can still do what we need to do the projects that will make a difference in our community. And then maybe if we want to have our own website later on, that's something we can work on. But I feel like right now we need to, put some teeth behind our words. We need to be doing things.
100%. Yeah, I think what she was also saying was that there should be a way that we can kind of take complaints from the community that has to do with like race relations, and us just having like a tab on the city website will be maybe difficult to do that effectively. It also may be a trust thing, like, people of color will have to go to the city website to tell on the city, or not, or to tell on, just to explain what's going on. So would individualizing us be something that's more effective if we were gonna take that route?
Yeah, and also we are working, we are doing things for the city, so it's not an independent, organization, but just, I'm happy to be working because, it's good for the community of the Bowling Green city, right? So I don't think we need to be separated, and then we can make maybe, just to ask them to look at the website of the, BG city. And then more people will be probably looking at, our site, if we just leave it, in the Bowling Green city. Because the people will not, clicking into the HRC, but then they will be clicking for the BG city.
Yeah. And I guess I don't want, I think Anthony tapped into that a little bit more. I don't want the conversation, I didn't mean it to just be only about a website. I mean, the website is a side part of the conversation. It's just, and again, we can have ways to, still hook in, so financially to still be hooked into the city website and get to our area. That's all easy to figure out. But and it goes along with what Emily's been saying as well, just being more visible. And so, like the lunch and learn, or and so excuse me, I know it's hard to put together multiple events, right? I mean, I do this with another group, so I know that it gets really difficult to do that, but it just feels like maybe in addition to doing these great events, which is a good way of raising community awareness of HRC and the issues, there's got to be other ways of promoting HRC just in and of itself. And I think that's what I'm kind of, maybe I was going in a roundabout way there, but it just feels like, I mean, I know so many people in the community that have lived here for years, and they could tell you very little about HRC. They have no idea. And that's absurd, because these are people who are very active in the community and very vocal members of the community, but yet they have no idea, and so I guess I'm just wondering, is there something more, or for people to come up with more ideas on just the promotion end of that, and then so that we can become an entity that community people recognize immediately and come to with different issues or looking for assistance in some way. So that's all I'm, that's it.
What if HRC created its own Twitter handle and then started putting information out over social media on a regular basis? Getting to the contact portion, if you want, I'll put your roster with your individual email addresses on there if people would feel more comfortable contacting you directly.
Mm-hmm.
Same on Facebook or, whatever. I think, Amy, I don't disagree with your point. I think a lot of the people in our community don't really understand or even know what the HRC is, let alone what you do. I think that comes down to messaging. You got to get messages out. You got to be active on these platforms. You got to push information. It's not necessarily about events, in my opinion. It's more about your activity within the community.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And I think that I like the idea of, whoever is comfortable on the committee of having their, their information out there so people can feel like they can directly contact a person, I think makes a huge difference too. And in that same vein, then, you know, maybe we need to kind of compile something for HRC so that each committee member then has all the information right in front of them all the time. Oh, here's who you contact for this. Oh, here's who can be the contact if we need to help somebody contact the police. Or, you know, so that each member then that might get contacted knows the kind of the route to start out with. And so you're not just scrambling all the time trying to figure out, you know, well, I don't really know, but I can call so-and-so. So I guess part of that is just deciding as the commission, you know, what is our role and what do we need to put in place then for all the members so that we can all help people in those different situations. So these are just thoughts, just,
Yeah.
you know,
good.
I don't usually get up early in the morning, so I can't really promise what these thoughts are like at 8 a.m. So anyway, you know.
So maybe what we want to create is a communication team. And then we could do that. So if anybody had concerns that they wanted to share, or, you know, find out where do I go in case this happens to me. I mean, I like Joe's idea about the social media and expanding that. And again, you know, maybe it is spending time identifying what is the role of HRC. So all of those are good, really good suggestions. So
Yeah, I would think that, especially for like that stuff, that it would be effective if we like attach like time bound goals to like some of those things to actually enact them. And that even goes with like getting like more diversity like in HRC, and people that are comfortable with like social media and those platforms to even take on that challenge and be that voice for us. And you know, is there a committee that we can create, an ad hoc committee, maybe for some of those things? Is it possible for us, and I don't know if Amy, if you meant this, but to create maybe like an oversight board or like a police oversight board or oversight committee, like in HRC, or that is sponsored by HRC. Tons of other communities have already enacted this sort of thing, and a lot of other communities are moving in this sort of direction. So is that possible to formulate out of HRC? And, you know, or can we start like thinking about that portion as well? I don't know if Amy, if that was what you were mentioning, but usually an oversight committee or of that sort would take those sort of complaints and then have a process with dealing with those.
Yeah, and that seems like, and again, I was just, you know, when I was looking, I'm using other cities and towns, you know, set up. And so, and I think that some of them were much more in line with what you were just saying.
yeah. I think that is, those are all really valuable things to look at. I mean, and the cities probably would grow if they had those things. I think that there's a lot of more involvement in creating that police oversight that need to be included in these conversations. You know, obviously the mayor, the police chief, I mean, there's probably more people than I realize, community members for sure. I'm not sure what the process is for that.
Yeah, I think if us as a HRC and as a whole, if we can all back that notion, that would help that move forward. You know, but that's also attached to like the diversity and like inclusion thing with HRC. But I think if we all as a whole, as an entire group, can back that notion and back getting a oversight committee or whatever we want to call it, a community board, a community board that is specifically does this type of thing. Because I don't want to spread us out too thin as well. But you know, if we can back that notion of like start moving on that, I think that would be powerful as well.
Mhm. Okay, so I'm noticing our time, and I know Kiko has to leave to go to class. And in our last few minutes, is there anything that anybody wants to propose that we do? We've got a lot of ideas out on the table. We started talking about organization and projects, and we've got another brand new, really not brand new. This is something we talked about. What is our identity? Do we want to take the information that's been shared and let it percolate and come back in April and come up with a plan, or what are your thoughts?
Is it possible for us to have like a retreat sort of thing? Because like something that I'm also realizing is that the identity of HRC is kind of wavering, you know, and it's not like something that's like locked in, you know. At least for me, you know, I imagine that we're an organization for the people, you know what I mean? And we do whatever is best for the people and community members inside of Bowling Green. And that includes the student body as well. So I think, and that's just my opinion. That's what I would like to see. I think that, I don't know if a retreat is possible, but I think that might be effective. So so we can get like our identity down. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty hard to move forward when we don't truly understand who we are as a group.
And I think there's an important part of that I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but just going back to what Amy said, I think and you have commented too, we not only identifying our identity, but we also want to expand the role of HRC, I think is what we're saying. I think, but again, not trying to put words in anybody's mouth. So are you proposing that we have a retreat, or I'm just trying to?
Yeah. I just think a retreat, or it doesn't have to be a retreat, right? It could just be a moment where we just come together as an organization. I don't know if that's possible, right, Joe or Mayor Mike, but we just come together as an organization and really hash out our organizational chart, right, and our committees, and like attach timelines to them, and like really figure out like who we are, like as like an organization, because it seems like it's really general right now, and it's like spreading all of us out like really thinly here, if we were to try to do all of the things that we just mentioned. But I think if we can get our organizational chart down, and at some point that would be what was best for us, in my opinion.
I would recommend that, and I'll send everybody the ordinance that created the HRC. So my recommendation to you is take a few months to, or some time to read it, to maybe internalize what the your founding document is charging you with, and then spend a few meetings maybe fleshing that out a little bit. Anthony's, I think, right. You have a lot that you want to do, but you need to prioritize. And I think perhaps, going back to the reason behind the creation of the commission would be a good starting point. I don't think that you want to say right now, we're going to do a retreat next month. That seems, pretty fast in my opinion. I would take a little bit more of a deliberate approach, spend the next few months during your normal meetings, talking about it, discussing it, and then moving on from there.
Yeah. Also, something else I'm thinking about, sorry I'm talking so much this meeting, guys, but something that's what I was thinking about is, do we have to only meet once a month? Is it possible for us to meet more than one time a month? Because I just find that we have like these really big, amazing, great, needed ideas, right? It's hard to enact those things meeting 12 months a year. Could it be twice a month? Could we commit to that sort of thing? And I know that's all connected with the underlying issue of people's availability, right? And what works best for people. But is that something that could be possible?
I think that'd be great if it is possible. I think that's something that we've all kind of talked about before, but have never put in action. So
It's pretty hard to get anything planned in the time frame we have. I feel like we're leaving that lunch and learn dangling out there, and everything else that we've talked about is just gonna hang.
Well, I might just say it's not difficult to get things done once a month, but you have to have a plan and then you prioritize it. So, as long as people know what the plan is and know what their responsibilities are, we can get a lot done.
I would suggest too, several boards I'm on, we have subcommittees. And as a subcommittee, like the Community Foundation, I sit on the golf fundraiser. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. That's one of our biggest fundraisers. So when it comes time, like now, we're getting started. We meet a lot of times as a subcommittee in order to accomplish that goal. And then we report back at the monthly meeting to say what we're doing. That way, it's better for everyone's availability. So not everyone has to meet twice a month, but yet we're still moving toward the overall goal of the Community Foundation. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So it's more of a subcommittees would be meeting in order to handle, this lunch and learn. So in the third quarter, whoever's assigned to that would be probably meeting, I would assume, more than once a month in order to get that lined up.
That's exactly I was modeling it after the
Yeah.
Community Foundation.
Well, again, Justin has a very good point. The big difference between the Human Relations Commission and the Community Foundation is that you are a public body. And as a public body, you fall under and within the purview of the sunshine laws that detect or direct how you can meet as a formal public body. And that includes the entire commission, but also committees as you define them or assign them. Even if you have a committee of 2 or 3, that is a public body. So you can certainly do that. We would have to issue a public meeting notice on your behalf, and your meeting would have to be made available to the public, either direct Zoom, over YouTube, or if you're meeting in person, you'd have to be willing to allow other people to sit there and observe your meeting. So whatever you do, I'm asking that you just get with me so we can kind of work through the particulars of it and figure out the best way forward.
That's a good point.
So that applies to any, more than one person, that applies, right? You're just saying, okay.
Yep. And when I send out your document with regards to the codified ordinances that created you, or the commission, excuse me, not you, I'll pass along some sections of the Sunshine Law that I believe I shared with Emily a little while ago.
You did.
By what a public body is and when your meetings need to be made public.
All right. Okay, thank you, Joe. Okay, so I need to leave. I don't know if you guys want to continue on and a conversation. Do we have any closure to today's meeting? We're just going to, I know we want to hear, Anthony was going to contact Sandy Rowland and hear more direction on what our lunch and learns and the intent behind them, what that should look like. So what do you guys want to do?
I have to go as well, so I can move to adjourn, or
I think just real quick before we do that, since Anthony's going to contact Sandy, then we can still communicate through email, right? So maybe we can still, take a couple tiny steps forward in the lunch and learn, get that information so we can all see it. And then we can still have a little bit of back and forth through email so we don't feel like we're just walking away from it, since like you said, Emily, it's this is the next event to come up. So we don't feel like we're just talking about it and then leaving. So I think maybe through email, through group emails, we can at least continue forward. So by next meeting, maybe we have some solid ideas to to put on the table for a lunch and learn. I think that's a really important event. So
Yeah.
Just one more dad comment. I'm sorry. Again, as a public body, you have to be very careful of meeting, these informal meetings that really are public meetings. So an email has been determined by different courts to be a public meeting. So as long as you're not deliberating or making decisions via email, I think we're probably okay. But the minute you start, going with back and forth deliberation about the pros and cons of various courses of action, you're crossing the line. And if you make a decision, particularly over email, you're
Okay.
definitely crossing the line. So
we can share all the information and say, here's things to consider.
yes,
We'll discuss it at the next meeting then.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I
right.
apologize. Dad will mute his camera.
It's welcome, Joe. Honest, it's welcome. Thank you for your input. We appreciate it. And I might just add, I appreciate that, Amy. Is there anybody who wants to take the lead on the lunch and learn? And maybe just identifying a list of 4 or 5 topics that we could consider, especially after we hear from Sandy, what her intent was behind them. Then we will know more about what we would consider as topics and who our targeted audience is and things like that. If there's somebody who could do some legwork behind the scenes so that when we get back to April, we might be able to make some decisions at that point.
Yeah, once I see the information from Sandy and, we kind of share that, I don't mind being somebody that kind of tries to help put together some ideas or.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks.
I'm making no promises on my ideas, but I'll do it.
I can help with that, but I'm going to be out of the state for the next month. So anything, I guess it'll still work through email, but I won't be back here till full week of April.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Amy,
All right.
I have the actual resolution from Sandy, the actual writing, so I could forward that to you if you'd like.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Actually, that's probably something we should all have if we don't already have it. I know, I got it, but Ellie, could you send it to everybody so everybody has
Sure.
a copy of the resolution? I think that's a good thing to.
Yeah, me and Sandy actually wrote the racial resolution together.
Yeah.
And share ideas with each other as we were writing it. And I have a general idea of what she meant for HRC, but I don't want to say anything until I get her backing on and clarification. But I am pretty confident that she wanted this to be kind of a structure as a yearly situation, where the local government structure set in or required to sit in on listen and learn events, I believe was the wording of it maybe. And so that was created by the Human Relations Commission. So
Yeah. Yep.
But I've already emailed her, so I'll be waiting to hear back from her. And whenever I do, I guess I can send it to Emily or maybe all of us what she meant with that.
Yeah, I think to all of us, I think it's good. So we got that background information. Everybody's aware, everybody knows what direction we're going to go in when we get back together in April to make decisions. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, cool. So do I have a motion for adjournment? Justin, did you move? Did we adjourn? Yeah.
I'll move again. Yeah.
And second.
I second.
All right, thanks, Ellie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, great. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Have a great weekend. I guess we'll be communicating. We'll be in touch. Take care.